All right, today we're going to talk about something huge, literally. We're going to explore the nature of God, starting from a scale that's almost impossible to wrap our heads around, and then zoom all the way in to something deeply, deeply personal. That's a powerful idea, isn't it? So often we try to shrink God down, to a manageable size that just fits into our lives. But you see, the goal isn't to squeeze God into our lives. It's about seeing our lives in the light of who He actually is. So let's try and get some of that awe back. So let's kick things off with the biggest concept there is, and it's this. Our minds, our finite human minds, simply cannot fully contain an infinite being. It's just not possible. And there's this fantastic analogy that really helps make sense of it. Imagine trying to pour the entire Pacific Ocean into one little teacup. I mean, it's impossible, right? You might get a drop of it, you might get a taste of what the ocean is, but you're never, ever going to contain the whole thing. Well, our minds are that teacup, and God is the ocean. We can know true things about Him, for sure, but we can never grasp the sheer fullness of who He is. And Scripture backs this up completely. It draws this line in the sand. It's not just saying God's thoughts are a little bit smarter than ours. No, we're talking about a gap as big as the one between the earth and the heavens. I mean, that's just unimaginable. So what does this all mean? Well, it leads to a really crucial point. If you could somehow map out every corner of God's mind, if you could predict His every move, then He wouldn't be the God of the Bible. Faith, then, isn't about having it all figured out. It's about trusting the one whose mind has no edges. Okay, so we've established this incredible scale. Now let's start to zoom in a little bit, from His infinite being to His infinite awareness. How does a God like that actually see the world? This is such a classic contrast from Scripture. You and I, we tend to be surface readers, right? We see what people do, what they look like, and we form judgments based on that. But God's vision, it cuts right through all of that, straight to the heart, to our motives, our intentions, the very core of who we are. I absolutely love this analogy. Think about it like this. We're all walking around in the dark with these tiny little flashlights, only seeing the little circle of light right in front of us. God, on the other hand, sees everything with perfect infrared vision. He sees every hidden detail, in the physical world and the spiritual world. All the things we miss, the things we don't even know are there. And listen, this is so important to understand. This total awareness is not some kind of cosmic big brother just watching our every move to catch us messing up. Not at all. It's the meticulous, loving attention of a creator who cares about every single detail of what He's made. I mean, just listen to how personal this gets. Every restless night you've ever had, every single tear you've cried in private, they don't just disappear. God notices. He keeps a record. Not a single moment of our pain or sorrow escapes His loving sight. All right, let's keep going. We've talked about what God knows. Now let's talk about what He can do. And when we look at His power, we find this amazing duality. On one hand, you have this raw, undeniable, creation-shaping force. The kind of power that just commands awe, right? The power that can speak galaxies into existence and tear through mountains. It reminds us that He is sovereign over everything. But then you have this. The very same God of the hurricane shows us that ultimate power is also found in the quiet, in gentleness, in perfect restraint. A whisper that can calm a terrified soul is every bit as powerful as a wind that can shatter rocks. And here's the beautiful part about a whisper. You can yell at someone from across the street, no problem. But a whisper requires closeness. It's intimate. When God whispers, it's an invitation to draw near, to get close enough to hear what He has to say. So we've seen this God who is all-knowing and all-powerful. But what is He like? What's at the core of His character? Well, let's talk about His love. Just think about this for a second. Right now, there are over 8 billion of us on this planet. 8 billion people. Now, let's be honest, most of us struggle to love just a handful of people really well. So how is it even possible for one being to love every single one of those 8 billion people with a perfect, personal, undiluted love, all at the exact same time? For us, it's just mind-boggling. It's an impossibility. Well, the answer is that God's love isn't like a pie that gets smaller with every slice. It's not a limited resource. It's relational, like the love of a perfect father. It's patient, always remembering how fragile we are. It's unconditional. He loves us even when we're at our absolute worst. And maybe most importantly, it's unchanging because it's based on who he is, not on how well we're doing.
This quote from D.L. Moody just captures it perfectly. You can stand on the beach, you can see where the ocean begins, but you can never, ever see where it ends. That's his love. It is truly beyond measure.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most incredible part of this whole picture. This is the ultimate zoom in. This is where the vast cosmic God we've been talking about enters our human story in the most direct way imaginable. So how do you even begin to explain something as profound as the incarnation? Well, this analogy is just fantastic. Imagine an author who knows everything about their characters and their story from the outside, but then that author decides to write themselves into the story, to actually live and feel and suffer right alongside the characters they created. That is what God did in Jesus.
And this right here, this is what makes Christianity completely unique. It flips the script on everything we think about religion. The story isn't about us trying to build a ladder to get to God. It's about God coming down the ladder to find us. He's the one who started the search.
And what's the result of all this? What does it mean for us? It means the same God who is vast enough to hold galaxies together now understands our human struggles, not just because he knows everything, but because he's lived it. He's felt exhaustion, betrayal, grief, and pain. He can truly, genuinely sympathize with us. So we're left with this one final thought to just sit with. If God is really this huge, this powerful, this all-knowing, and yet he's also this personal, this loving, this near, what does that change? What does that change about everything?